A YouTuber built a school for a poor village. Years later, one student changed his life forever. It all started with a single tweet. Jimmy Adams, better known as Mr. J, a wildly popular YouTuber known for giving away insane amounts of money, food, and cars, was scrolling through his feed late one night when he stumbled upon a heartbreaking post. It showed a crumbling classroom in a small American town called Brookfield, located deep in the forgotten valleys of West Virginia. The tweet read, "This is what education looks like for my son. Rain pours through the roof. No books. One teacher for 50 kids. No one cares." The photo showed children sitting on cracked wooden benches, sharing torn notebooks, their eyes filled with hope despite their circumstances. Jimmy stared at it for a long time. He had made videos giving away millions. He had planted trees, cleared oceans, and rebuilt homes. But something about that photo, a young boy looking straight into the camera, soaked from the rain with a pencil tucked behind his ear, haunted him. The next day, Jimmy did something unusual. He turned off his phone, canceled all his meetings, and drove for hours until he reached Brookfield. The school was even worse in person. "Why hasn't anyone helped them?" he asked, walking through the abandoned gym where vines had overtaken the bleachers. The answer was simple. No one knew, and those who did didn't care enough to fix it. That night, Jimmy recorded a video in his hotel room. "Tomorrow, I'm going to build a school right here in Brookfield. Not just any school, a safe, clean, inspiring place for every child here. Let's change lives together." The video went viral within hours. But for Jimmy, this wasn't about views. It was about doing something that mattered. The next morning, construction began. Jimmy partnered with local builders, architects, and teachers. He didn't just want to build classrooms, he wanted to build hope. The new school would have equipped science and computer labs, a stock library with thousands of books, a playground, cafeteria, and an auditorium. Free transportation and daily meals. Kids who had only ever known broken floors and leaking ceilings now watched bulldozers clear the land with wide eyes and open hearts. Among them was Elijah Carter, a shy 9-year-old with a mind like a sponge. Elijah was always asking questions: how engines worked, why stars burned, how planes flew. But he'd never seen a real computer before, let alone touched one. His mother, a single parent working 2 jobs, used to tell him, "You're going to change the world one day." When the school finally opened 6 months later, Elijah was the first student through the doors. Jimmy came to cut the ribbon. "You're gonna be the next president, I can feel it," he joked, handing Elijah a laptop. Elijah smiled, nodded quietly, and whispered, "I just want to learn everything." Jimmy never forgot that. 10 years later, Jimmy had moved on to bigger projects. He'd built homes in disaster zones, delivered food to struggling families, and even funded medical surgeries. His name had become synonymous with hope. But something had changed. He no longer smiled like he used to. He'd burned out, exhausted from constantly pushing the limits of giving. Behind the scenes, he battled insomnia, anxiety, and a nagging feeling that maybe none of it truly mattered. On his 38th birthday, he sat alone in his LA mansion, scrolling through emails until one subject line caught his eye. "You built me a school. Now let me build you a legacy." He opened it. "Dear Mr. J, my name is Elijah Carter. 10 years ago, you built a school in Brookfield that changed my life. I was the shy kid with a pencil behind my ear. Today, I graduate from MIT with degrees in engineering and AI. I've just launched a startup that's developing affordable smart classrooms for underserved communities, starting with Appalachia. I would be honored if you come to our unveiling ceremony. Everything I've done is because you believed in me. Please come." Elijah Jimmy stared at the screen in silence. Something stirred deep inside him, a flicker of joy, a purpose rediscovered. He booked the next flight out. When Jimmy arrived in Brookfield, it was like stepping into a dream. The school had grown, now with satellite branches in neighboring counties. Kids laughed in the courtyard, backpacks full, futures bright. But Elijah had something else to show him. He led Jimmy to an old abandoned coal factory on the edge of town. Inside, dozens of workers were assembling solar-powered learning pods, miniature classrooms made from recycled materials. each one equipped with Wi-Fi, tablets, and lesson plans in multiple languages. These pods can be dropped into any remote area, anywhere in the world, Elijah explained. Africa, South America, rural America. One pod can change an entire village. Jimmy was speechless. Then Elijah pulled out a folder. "This is the part I wanted you to see," he said. Inside were designs, patents, and partnership agreements. At the bottom, a proposal to launch a global education foundation in Jimmy's name. "You gave me the first shot I ever had," Elijah said, emotion in his voice. "Let me return the favor. Together we can educate 1 million kids in 10 years. Jimmy felt tears sting his eyes. All these years, he'd wondered if what he was doing really made a difference. Now he knew the foundation was called the J Future Fund. In just the first 2 years, it deployed 1,200 education pods across 6 countries and 14 U.S. states. Children who'd never touched a book now read on tablets. Teens who'd never seen a microscope were exploring biology and coding. Jimmy no longer made daily YouTube videos. Instead, he focused on traveling to the schools, meeting the students, mentoring young minds. And Elijah? He became the face of the movement. In every speech, he told his story. How a YouTuber built him a school when no one else would, and how that single act of kindness became a ripple that turned into a wave. At a major global summit, Elijah stood on stage and said, "The world doesn't change with governments or policies. It changes when one person cares enough to act. 10 years ago, one man gave me a chance. Today, I offer that chance to millions." The crowd gave a standing ovation. Backstage, Jimmy hugged him and whispered, "You did it." Elijah smiled. "No, we did." One quiet evening, Jimmy returned to Brookfield one last time. He stood outside the original school building, now a regional education hub with dorms, labs, and a museum in his honor. A little girl tugged at his sleeve. "Are you Mr. J?" He smiled. "I used to be." She handed him a drawing, a picture of a school with the words, "Thank you for caring." As she skipped away, Jimmy looked up at the sky, eyes glassy. He'd built houses, healed oceans, and fed millions. But nothing meant more to him than that school in Brookfield. Because in that forgotten valley, he didn't just change lives, he helped create a future. And the boy he once gave a laptop to, he became the man who would change the world.